Hi everybody, I'm Judy DiLorenzo with The Life Well Planted, and I hope you're having an abundant and prolific garden and harvest season like we are. We're still picking so much. Today my husband picked 3 types of potatoes. These are russet and a red variety, and then he also picked all of these Elba potatoes. So we have 2 baskets already in cold storage. This gives us plenty of potatoes. I have about 8 quarts of tomatoes cooking down on the stove, which I will freeze in flat packages. You can check out my videos about how to freeze liquids in flat packages using a food saver. But this video isn't about potatoes or tomatoes. It's about raspberries. And we have a lot of raspberries every year. This year in particular, they're very, very prolific. We grow Caroline, which is an ever-bearing variety, and that means that you pick every 3 days for a couple of months. So I have 60 jars of jam already put up, and I just can't make any more jam. So for the first time ever, I started to make raspberry fruit leather without any sugar, without any honey. It's pretty easy and the color is gorgeous. It maintains the color really well and it's very delicious. That's what I'm going to show you today. So the first step is to wash the berries. Usually you don't wash raspberries unless you're ready to eat them, but in this case, because I'm drying it out and making the fruit leather, I don't have to worry about it going moldy. I wash them good and then shake out the water and let it sit and drain for a bit. And then the next step is to process them in a high-speed blender. And I do this for a while because I want the seeds to be really pulverized. I'm not a fan of crunching into a bunch of raspberry seeds. I actually remove about 50% of them when I make jam. Okay, so next you line your dehydrated trays with parchment paper, and then you take your raspberry smoothie, if you will, and just pour it onto the parchment. You're going to keep it in a fairly thin layer and just spread it. And then I've been dehydrating at between 125 and 135 degrees. I usually start out at 135, and then after a few hours, I drop the temperature down. And it does take several hours. There you go. So you put your raspberry smoothie into the dehydrator, and then it's going to look like this when it's done. And you simply pull it off the parchment. You put the strips in the jar, and then you keep it somewhere, where you're going to see it every day. And for a few days, you keep an eye on it, and you make sure that the fruit leather can spin like this. Of course, you're going to fill it with more, and you're going to have your lid on. And then make sure that it spins around. If it's too moist, it's really going to all stick together, and you'll have condensation inside the jar, and then you have to put it back into the dehydrator, and you have to continue to dry it out because you don't want any moisture to be left, because you don't want it to mold. And so once you're sure after a few days that indeed it is fully dry, of course, label the jar and then put it in a cool, dark, dry location such as your pantry. Oh, and one more thing. don't overfill the jars at first. You want to leave enough room so that you can move the fruit leather around to make sure that it isn't sticking together. So that's about good. Maybe I'll put another couple of strips in here. But then once you know it's conditioned and it is fully dry, then you can fill the jars fuller. I could actually put a little bit more in each of these jars. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. It's a very easy process. I wish I knew about it years ago. I just did it out of desperation because, as I said, I just had so many berries still coming out of the garden and just felt like I didn't want to make any more jam. And as a bonus, it's fun to pull off of the parchment paper. All right, so that's all I've got for you today. Be well, and remember, make every mouthful count.